Okay, that takes care of our basic visuals, what we want to do. Now here's a great system that I'd like to talk about that is part of the auditing using your visuals. It's called the Kamishibai. How many people like Japanese words? Okay, not many. Most people don't like these. And now I got another Japanese word that I got to learn. I got, all right, Gemba, we got Kaizen, we got Muda being waste. Now Kamishibai, that's a tough one. That's got more syllables. Okay, we don't like these Japanese words. All right, don't be afraid of the words. All right, Kamishibai is basically lantern slide. Okay, what does that have to do with auditing system? Well, really what they've done is before they had radio, before they had television and the internet, for entertainment they used lantern slides to tell stories to kids at the marketplace. So what they really was trying to show in this audit system is tell a story about the process, tell a story about what's going on. So they chose the term Kamishibai to talk about an audit card system, to show us what we need to do and to tell the story of the process. So if you don't like Kamishibai, just call it a control board or an audit board system. Or audit system is good, all right? It's really just a card system to help you maintain the standard, to focus on the process. Now the card looks simply like this. You have one card that's got a green side and tells you some things you need to go look at Gemba, and then the other side is red. And that'll come into play here in a moment of why we have that. It's a simple system where we're looking at the workplace, what do we need to go and see? And those are related to our big rocks: safety, quality, production, cost, and delivery. It's very simple to standardize. You can work within a week and get your team leaders and supervisors together to come up with the cards, ensure that you're checking things done in a timely manner. You set up an actual schedule and routine to do this, and it makes the checks very visible. You can see when something's been audited and when it hasn't. And you're auditing to train yourself to see and to find problems while they're smaller because they're easier to solve, and you can teach others and help them solve problems. So it's another coaching opportunity that you can do to help develop people using an audit system. It's really simple. It's talking about a card system. You can install this in a day or two. It's simple instructions, minimal training to go through the process, and it ensures 100% compliance because you have 100% of the things you need to check all on cards, all in front of you. So again, it's a very simple process. And it's for everyone. Team leaders, they go through and the team members actually are working on the process. They have their standard work. Team leaders use that card to check every single person's standard work, make sure that they're doing it safely, making sure that they're doing the process correctly. Group leaders check to make sure your team leaders are doing their process, and then they have their own audit cards. Same thing with area managers, plant manager, all the way up to president can have a card to go out in the system. So it forces you to go and see, get out of the office and go to the shop floor. You have now a better understanding of what the process is, and you can help develop more problem solving using a system like this. Again, the variations of the frequency is team leaders do this every single day. Every single person in their area they cover every day. The managers would do it on a weekly basis. They may do them every day, but instead of going to every single area every day, they'll go to area A for the first day, area B the second day, area C the third day. Same thing when you start going all the way up to executives and directors. They will go through, I'm going to go to this building this week, this building this week, go to this plant next week, and they just do it on a rotational basis, on a monthly basis. So your frequency just elevates on a less frequent basis. But you may have a president that goes out to the shop floor every single day. It's just different things that they look at. So there's two types. You have the team leader version, and then you have the management version on an audit board. The team leader, they're checking, say, a 5-person team. They're focused on those 5 people, and they check them every single routine, like every hour they're checking. Whereas when you have the management board, they're checking areas, and they're checking it, say a supervisor could check it once in the morning, once in the afternoon, or every 2 hours. And then the manager of the area does the morning and afternoon. And then the plant manager does, I'm going to check this area this week and this area next week. So you depend on the scope of your area and the amount of people you have in the area you need to cover, how often that you do it. Here's a simple example of an audit card. We're going to check standard work. Remember, we're focusing on the process. So standard work is one of the things we want to look at. Is the team member actually doing the sequence they're supposed to? And is it filled out correctly? We want to look at the work instructions. Do they have everything in the work instructions they're supposed to have? Do they have the key points listed? Is the team member wearing the PPE? Are they wearing safety glasses? Do they have the earplugs? Do they have the steel toe shoes? Visual aids, are everything in its place and a place for everything? TPM, are all the jigs and fixtures in the correct condition and documented? That's just a list of sample questions. You guys have to figure out what are the most important questions you need at each specific area. So get a team together and come up with those questions. And then make a card, and then this is what you need to do to audit. You go through and you go to with the card in hand, go right out to Gemba, and you just start asking the questions and doing this. Now you have green and red. Now why do we have green and red? Remember, we want to make this a visual system, so what happens is, when you have a board, you'll have all your cards down here at the bottom, and say this is split up by first and second shift, and then you pick one randomly, go out and do your audit. If everything is good going through this process here, you put the green side showing. Visually, you can say that's okay. If something is amiss, something is not to standard, something you found as issue, you flip it over and show the red side, and then you put it back on the stack. So I can quickly tell you, of all the cards, how many areas did I have problems? 2. And then over here at the side, you can write down what the problems were. And NG being no good, and OK being it was OK. Then you now have your countermeasures set up. So it's now a visual system. Very simple, red and green, audit every day, questions focused on the process. Now, when you're all done at the end of the shift, you collect up all the cards and you put them back in, you start all over the next day. Now, one of the things that we have done, well, what if you had a countermeasure and you didn't fix that day? Because we want to fix them every day. We just leave it on the board. You don't take it off. You leave it on there till you finish it. Okay? Now, what we'd like to do is get a team together. Get your team leaders and supervisors together and actually come up with the questions. And then I do something called cardboard engineering. Don't have fancy charts and boards set up. Use cardboard and paper and magic markers and set it up. Then practice it. Go out to Gemba, practice the cards. That didn't work. Come back, fix the questions. Go back until you get it set up to where you want the board to be. Then you can go back with a fancier board if you wish. But start with cardboard first. Get those questions and practicing of auditing. Yes?
So I'm looking at the list.
Well, you will certainly want to look at safety. You want to look at standard work, if that's being involved. You want to look at any cost issues, like is the setup being done in the correct amount of time? If setup is a key component of your cost there. Are they running to cycle time? Maybe an issue that you have a question. You want to have a question, are they running to the right print revision if you've got a quality issue there? So whatever makes sense to that cell is the kind of questions that you want. I just used a short example of the cards, and I'll show you a little bit longer one here. In a minute, I'll show you a little longer one. Okay, so you have to decide. All right. Now, after you do the cardboard engineering and you practice it, then you'll develop better what it needs to be, and then you can make fancier cards and laminate them. Now, you have color coding that you can do. We like to use white being daily, yellow for a weekly audit card, and blue for a monthly audit card, so you can see, and they just have the red and green at the top, so you know if it's good or bad. So whatever color code system works for you, so you can know the difference between a weekly, monthly, and daily. And then you can set up a board like this, which is a management board. This covers all the work cells in the area, and then you can see the daily ones at the top, the weekly ones here, and the monthly ones here, and they are specified either by safety, quality, production, or visual factory. Or you can do it just like a team leader board, have all those questions all in one card, and have it by zone. So it's whatever makes sense to you. And in fact, we did that in this one after we set it up and did the mock-up of what we wanted for our daily, weekly, and monthly. We set it up like this, where instead of having safety and quality, we said we want to do zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and it had all the issues. And if you notice, there's a lot more questions there. All right? And that was after about a week of practicing, trying to figure out what the best questions so we can focus on the process here. Now, the good thing is we've split up those zones based on the 5S zones that were already created in the area, so it matched. So that made sense to us. You may or may not do it that way. So whatever makes sense to you. Now, this system's simple, easy to learn, but realize what I said, daily is for like the supervisor team leader level. And in this case, the team leader had their separate board for their cell, and in this case, this daily was for the supervisor. But we asked the managers to do the weekly and the plant manager to be involved in that, and we asked the president and his staff to do the monthly. True story. We took them out there. went through the practicing, and do you know what I heard from the president and his staff? Well, yeah, I didn't know this was one good one, but one of the things they said, setup time, is setup time accurate and to standard? How do I know? Okay. Are they running to the right print revision? How do I know? So they started seeing that they couldn't find these answers quickly. So they came to me and says, how do I find out? And I asked them, well, how do you think you're going to find out? I'm learning to be a consultant. Okay? Go ask the operator. Your visuals aren't set up. You need to develop them so you can see at a glance. What do you need? What do you think you need to set up to make it easier for you and make it visual? So they started working on that. Well, they started grumbling. We don't have time to do all this, which was another. Well, it should be definitely easier for the operator, but the audit system is a separate system we try to make easy. You want to make your auditing system easy, because if you make it difficult, people aren't going to do it. So in this particular case, the process we want to make easy, but the process of auditing we want to make easy. Good question. We don't have time to do it. How do you expect me to know all this stuff? Do I even need to know? And then the president, in front of everybody, says, Mike, you're insane. So I looked at him, I'm not sure where he's going with this. And he says, you mean to tell me we're expected to know our processes? And I smiled, yep. That's the extent of we want this to be. We want management to know their processes. Yes, afraid so. That's what we're setting up. So it's a big culture change for management to need to know this stuff. But everybody should be focused on the process. Remember what I said at the very beginning? We want to develop leaders. We want to get the most of everybody. And everything about leader standard work, which is may not what you think about, is focusing on the process. All the way up to president of the company, focusing on the process. And here's an example of a company where they're actually using the audit system. And the president of the company is out on the floor learning about the processes and auditing them. How powerful do you think that is when a president wants to know about setup? Do you think the president will learn? Yes. Do you think it'll be a stronger company? Yes. That's where we need to take our companies, to that level. Again, this is very easy to talk about, very simple to understand, very, very difficult to do. Very difficult. But if you can get it, it will so much improve your processes toward a lean company and having a lean enterprise. So getting started with Kamishibai, begin with the checks, look at those big rocks of safety, quality equipment, build your boards into your standard work. So if you've got your standard worksheet, have time to go on these walks and have time to go do your audits. So I'm going to do my audits twice a day or once a week. And carry them out regularly and have that discipline. Again, having these nice audit boards up, color-coded, looks good, but if you go out there every day and the audits aren't being done, it's worthless. Got to have the discipline to follow through. Key points, you got to be faithfully observing the audit. It's more important to actually be doing the audit at a discipline basis than really necessarily the results, but you certainly want to make the improvements. Take those countermeasures done immediately, and the frequency and completion of the checks should be done visually. So you can see on a board if audits are being done and what are the countermeasures. Make it visual. So work on making sure that that is easily seen with the red and green. So in summary, it's easy to install. The system prompts you with the cards to know what are weekly, monthly. You can see real quick if you're doing them or not. It's all displayed visually. It's within that area of control. And like any other system, if you don't follow and do it daily, it won't help you at all. Okay? Very simple, easy process. Again, set up so we can focus on the process and built-in coaching moments. In this case, we're actually also coaching up because we're expecting our leaders to know the process.